G'day and welcome to another episode. My name is Daethstro, the Aussie Geek, and this is Legacy Armada Starscream. Now, a little story to begin with. I got this guy from the States, and I think I've mentioned a couple of times already that I had no intention of getting an Armada collection. I got Prime, that's all I was going to get. Then I got Hotshot, next Megatron. And I thought, well, if I'm going to get Megatron, I need to get Starscream. Because there's no point me getting the Decepticons if I can't get Starscream. Because Starscream was released during the first release, well, the first third of Legacy. And I was like, well, I don't know if I can get him. Because I had no intention to get him in the first place. So I'm like, I'm going to miss out on him. So I looked, and I looked, and I looked. And I found a place in Australia, and I'm not naming names because I neither want to promote nor vilify any companies. But I ordered him for, I want to say it was around $70. And I'm like, that's a bit expensive, but I'm not going to be able to get him anywhere. Can't get him from any of the main retailers. So I'm like, right here, I'll get it from him. Get him from them. And I ordered him and I waited over the weekend. And I'm like, you know what? It's going to take a few days to get sent. And I got an email Monday morning saying that I was refunded. I thought, that's weird. Why did I get a refund? And I thought, well, maybe they sold out. That's why. So I went to the website and had a look. The price had jumped from $70 up to $90. So they'd refunded me my order so they could put the price up. And I'm like, I am not spending $90 on this figure. That's getting a bit ridiculous. Now, I admit I have issues with the mainline prices, which is why some figures I'm very hesitant to get. I have spotted a tidal wave somewhere if it's still going to be available, but the price is fairly decent. I'm not willing to spend over $300 for example, a tidal wave. That should have been the price of a Combiner Wars Devastator, which was around $200, I think, when I first bought him. Now I know prices have gone up and that, etc., etc. Anyway, this video is not about price changes. Anyway, so that fell through, and I was pretty peeved. And I'm like, well, I hadn't ordered Megatron at this point. I knew where I could get Megatron, but I hadn't ordered it because I was still like, well, if I can't get Starscream, there's no point ordering Megatron. I'll just get Red Alert when he comes out, and I'll just have the Autobots. So I got onto a very well-known American company, and I've ordered maybe 2 or so times from them in the past because I prefer to order somewhat locally, if at all plausibly. And they had one, and I can't remember how much I paid for it because honestly, the refund stuck in my mind more than how much this guy cost me from the other one. So I had to wait a month for him to show up. And I ordered Megatron right afterwards, and I was like, right, I've got Starscream coming, I have Megatron coming, so that's brilliant. So now my Armada collection is only missing 3 characters, which is, of course, Red Alert, Demolisher, and Cyclonus. Sorry, I'm not getting Wheeljack. I don't have the intentions of getting Scavenger, if that ever happens. I do want an RID, Optimus and all that, but once again, I'm getting away from myself. This is 4.5 minutes in to a review for Armada Starscream that hasn't gone into a review about Armada Starscream. But basically, yes, I got basically declined for one purchase because they wanted to jack the price up, and the other one I had to wait for it to arrive from the States. So I did the Megatron review because I wanted to be able to do a size comparison with this guy, and if I'd done Starscream first, then the Megatron wouldn't have worked. And I thought, you know what, Starscream is the harder one to have gotten, so I will do Megatron first, which we did. Anyway, here is Starscream, and he does have a few things I'm not entirely a fan of. I want to say Hotshot had the little nubbin for, I can't remember his name. Honestly, I only remember Starscream's because it's Swindle, and I do like Swindle. I can't remember if Megatron's got a 5mm port on his arm, but I can't remember if that's actually where Leader 1 attached or it was on his turret. I can't remember. I got to watch Armada again. And honestly, I don't remember when I did the review for Armada Optimus whether or not there was a tab on his shoulder for spark plug. But unfortunately, this guy for sure does not have a port for Swindle. So, like I said, Hotshot got his. So, I don't know. Something tells me his name's Recoil, but I don't think it's Recoil. So, yeah, no matter what, even if they release a Swindle for this guy, which I don't ever expect them to, honestly, I think it would be a wise idea for any Armada collectors. You could just basically do it like you did the Micromasters. Just release the Armada Minicons like you did Micromasters. We'd be all happy. But yeah, basically there is no port. There's no... well, there is this piece here, but I always remember the Swindle attached here, so maybe you could use that 5mm port to attach Swindle, but like I said, we don't have a Swindle. So that's unfortunate. Also, his Star Saber, I think, is a bit puny. I think it needs to be bigger. And in saying that, I told that to a friend, and he suggested sticking with Hotshot. And it does look better in Hotshot's hand. I just think it's really small in Starscream's, and I even tried it with Megatron, and it looks like a butter knife in all respect. He also does have his wind blade, which is ironic. And of course, for those of you in the know, when it comes to Starscream's blade, it of course comes from his wing, so you can actually fold this back a little bit. And if looking at the right angle, it looks like it's actually detached. So there is that, but I like to keep that forward. And so there you go. All right, so as for articulation, so I'm going to get rid of these so I can get into transformation, and we can actually use them later anyway. So as for articulation, he has one issue that only actually works in one mode. Only one. So his head has rotation issues. You cannot really rotate his head, which sucks because I wanted to have him sort of angled. There is a way to do it, which is you untab this, you flip that up, you drop his side guns, and now you have head access. The problem, I think, is because the ball joint is all the way back here. I'll see if I can focus on that. I'll throw the light on just in case. So, using the toothpick, there's the ball joint. It's not in the center of his head. It's in the back. I don't know if I can... yeah. So, you've got all this here. There's nothing there. This should be moved forward. Now, I know that there isn't really much room for his head articulation if you have the backpack where it's supposed to be, I'm moving guns instead. See, it gets in the way. The thing is that I think either A, the shoulders should have been wider so that it could deal with his head, or maybe, I don't know, maybe squish his head a little bit. I think if you squish his head anymore, it would look weird. But the problem is while this does give you hints to, say, G1 Starscream, this isn't how Armada Starscream is transformed. You have to have those up there. And we'll plug that back in. That's Starscream. He has giant cannons that stick out the back end, which make it an absolute nightmare if you have him at the back of the shelf. But by doing so, you can't really turn it. You can turn it down a little bit on both sides, and he can look up a little bit, but you don't get side to side, because I'm worried I'm going to break that ball joint because of where it's sitting. So I think I have popped his head off once and finally got it back on. That was a bit of a pain, but that is ignoring that head is stuck. It is a very lovely head. If I can focus it, come on. Stop focusing on my blinds. There we go. So that head is amazing. That is Starscream. He doesn't need a smirk or anything, because as we know, Starscream is not the backstabbing. Well, he became more of a heroic figure in Armada. I haven't watched Armada for a long time, but he's not the Starscream we know and love from G1. Starscream in Armada is his own Starscream, which of course he gets into super mode and basically gets killed by Unicron, if I remember correctly, or Galvatron, one of the two. But it's a pity about that head. You can use his shoulder blasters. They do flip over. And you do have ports. They don't come with parts effects, and I haven't got any. I suppose you could stick that in there, but I'm not going to, because then it'll get stuck and then I'll have nightmares. So you do have his over-shoulder launches, so you can, of course, position him so he's, massive shot. Once again, feels weird missing Swindle there. You can do one of those if you want, but, true feelings you should have too. All right, so continued on with the articulation. If I can get his elbow where I want it, because he's got a double jointed arm. So arm goes up this far, weirdly. So it's on here. It's not actually on the shoulder itself. Well, it's on the shoulder, just a weird shoulder. Arms can do a full 360, except the wings get in the way. Of course, the wings can go back, they can go up, they can go down. Like I said, you can use it so it looks like he's actually pulled his sword out. I just like it up, honestly. You do have upper bicep rotation. You have a slider, which is for transformation, and honestly, I'm not a fan, because even on mine, it's a little loose. You're supposed to have it pulled in for robot mode, but that feels like a potential breaking point right there. Putting too much force into it and just snapping that. So yeah, do be aware of that. He does have a double jointed elbow, although this primary one is what seems to trigger, and you have that, which is sort of a mixture of transformation. You can get further, sort of there, but yeah, then I still feel like that's really pushing your luck with that joint. No wrist rotation. If you want, and I have been displaying him like this, I'll bring the sword in for a second. Say you don't want the sword just straight up and down. You want him so it looks like he's like doing like this. I have worked out, if you fold that panel down, angle this a little bit, and plug the sword back in. Also, pity it's hollow. And then just close that panel over his knuckles. And now it looks like he's ready to thrust his, come on, fight me, Optimus Prime, Galvatron. I'm really bad at Starscream voices. I cannot get my voice that high, so best of luck. So there we go. And unfortunately, I don't know the actor for Armada Starscream. I only know Chris Lotter for G1, but yeah. Where are we at? Now, we do have bicep rotation, which is more upper hip rotation. Now, weirdly enough, when I got this guy, these were folded in like this. So I thought maybe it was an alternative look. So maybe that clears out his hips a little bit, but it just seems weird. And I feel like I'm going to scratch something, and they just want to untab anyway. Right, so lift up this. Leg goes out that far. I just realized my shin seam is splitting. You have upper hip rotation. You have Knee bend that gets you that far. You can get further if you undo this tab, but then you're basically turning into transformation. Goes forward this far, goes backwards that far. You can probably get further, but you're untabbing backpacks and such. Ankle can go backwards, can go forwards a little bit. You get a little bit of rocker, and that just feels like, where the hell's the screw for that? Oh, you lovely. It's just a pin. So just be careful with your ankle tilt, honestly. So there we go. And of course, heel can move, but that's more for transformation. And I almost forgot. I thought about it twice and thought I was going to forget. You have ports, one here, and these two here, one here, one there, two down there, one there, one on the back there. We've already done those, and these two here. I think that is all. All right, let's get down to transformation. It's not a bad transformation, but these elbows, and you can see how wibbly and wobbly my left arm is. I don't think it's going to break or anything, at least not intentionally. So there we go. All right, so first things first, we are going to rotate our wings up so it makes sure it aligns with our shoulders. You're going to untab the nose cone. Now, I did this and had to fiddle with it to get it back up. If you accidentally go too far, that panel will drop. Just tab his chest back in. It'll lock it back in place. So just up. I did it again. Just so it gets into place. Spread out your side wing things. I'm not sure what they're called. Untab this and you have, is it the port? Yeah, the port will tab into this port tab right here. And you're going to come under here and we're going to fold out this panel here and fold his feet in, hands in. Going to have to redo my biology again. Do that on both sides. Now you're going to slide the arms out. I am not a fan of sliders in any sense of the word. So yes, you have to do it, but I don't like it. All right, so the legs. The legs are the most awkward piece to do. They're not terrible. They're not hard, but they are awkward. So just spread and bring your shins inwards, like so. You're going to fold your heels in. And then you're going to push the feet in and make sure they go all the way. Because if you don't, then it's not going to sit properly. All right, you're going to take these covers and you may have to get something to get under there. Thankfully, my nail's working this time. They're a little loose on mine too. So now you're going to bend such. And this is where things get awkward because what you're going to do is you're going to get this toe tip underneath his arm basically. So, but you also need to get these tabbed in. So if you bring his waist down a little bit and probably get the top one done first if things don't untab first. So bring this up and you just need to do your best to line things up where it's supposed to go. That one got in. Being my pardon, I also have a tendency to have a trouble getting this to actually slide over the leg. That time it went well, and so did that one. All right, so those are where they are. Just give them a bit of a push. Now you should just have enough clearance with these in there to get that in place. Fold this up, and they will interlock. Now you have this tab here. You can see it, and I'll use my toothpick again. You have this tab here. It's going to go into a port in the top back of his crutch, I guess. And that will compress everything. And we can turn the light back off. You're going to press the head down till it goes as far as it goes. You will not get rid of the top of his head. And I do need to, one of these days, have a look and see just how compressed Starscream's head is. I'm pretty sure that should be covered. All right, next we're going to bring this back. This is why you sort of need, not really need to slide. I was going to say maybe that's why, but not really. So slide that out and you have this port here, and this tab here, this tab here. So it can be a little awkward. Just bring the arm back and just start bending that joint. Just let it compress all. You go click, and just press on the back of the wing, and that will give you a little bit of added pressure. So that one didn't need to go click. The other one went click. That one didn't. And there is Starscream in his jet mode, and it is a really nice jet mode. But there is one thing, and I think I can't say for certain. I've already got. I think I've already got a scuff mark. Am I seeing things? Nope, I got a little scuff mark there. Didn't notice that. Probably got nothing to do with the transformation. Probably just came out of the box that way and I've never noticed it. So, or it could actually be the scratch from the back of the shoulders when it's sitting there. I don't know. I wouldn't think so. Anyway, the one thing with this jet mode is he's got no landing gear and I have not got my camera focused. He doesn't have landing gear. He does sit reasonably fine because there is a whole lot of just robot just sort of packed away up the back here. In saying that, I want to say it's very accurate to Starscream's jet mode. But yeah, there's no landing gear. But because of basically the sides of the legs and the arms, he sits pretty flat as is. But I suppose you could get something and plug under here or something and, seeing him so he looks like he's flying. Nicely, you can actually use his special move weapon in his jet mode, although honestly I think it just makes the back end look really, really weird. Also, it's weird that that's not an actual tabbing point. But I will say, size comparison wise and look wise, he looks really good with Windblade. They look amazing together in jet mode. Honestly, I could imagine Armada and Windblade teaming up for something. I don't know. It just really, really, really looks really good together with each other. Obviously, canopy doesn't open, but that is that. So that is him in his robot mode. That alt mode. By the way, you can take these, which honestly is a bit silly in my point of view. And you can plug them in. I'm trying to do this without looking at it, and it's not working. Because you've got ports on both sides, obviously. So they can go in there, and you do have weapon storage, but that looks really dumb. Honestly, that is the one thing with, I want to say, because here, I don't know, did someone tell me in the comments, because like I said, I haven't seen Armada for a long time. Did Starscream even have a ranged weapon? Apart from his shoulder cannons? I don't think so. So, someone, by the way, there's another port there. But yeah, someone let me know in the comments, because I'm pretty sure he didn't, but, this could deal with some, reasonably attached null rays. So there is that. All right, let's get this guy back into robot mode. So we're going to fold his arm down, and if they haven't already, they will hopefully untab, and then just try to straighten those elbows. Just be careful of the sliding joint, and that can slide across. I don't know if I want to put some nail polish in there, but if I do, I think I'll screw up the upper bicep rotation. We're going to just untab here for the moment, and we're going to try our best to get the feet out. The feet are out, getting easier to get out than they are somewhat getting in. You do need to split these first, otherwise you're going to be pulling on each other and you're going to be going against the tab. So fold out, and we'll just extend the leg so we've got some clearance. Same on the other side. As you can see, we're making a few hits, and that was a little bit harder to get out. So we rotate our thighs. There we go. I was going to say, trying to find that joint. Flip that over, and that will sit pretty well. So bring that down. Then it will turn around. Bring that up. Then we can untab our feet. And there is little notches on the back of the heels. So you can get your finger there and hopefully there we go. get those heel spurs out. And same on this one. There we go. That was easier. And that's our legs all done. Now, the cool thing is I'll just compress his head again. When you rotate the torso down, it lifts his head up, which I think is pretty damn cool. So, yes. Get a decent look up, I suppose. A little bit of a look down. All right, so then we can compress his chest, and we have, whoops, and I've done it again. You have this tab here, which will plug into this port here, like so, and then you can collapse those side thingamajiggies. You can take this here, and you have this port goes on this tab, this tab. Like I said, if you want that collapsed, if you want the collapsed version, you basically just slide all this down, and I'm trying to figure out which one it is. There is a tabbing point. Actually, there's no real tabbing point if you do it like that. The front still tabs in, but there's no real tab for the backpack. Anyway, that's not what we're using. We're using the prop one. So that tabs in there. But yeah, just also be aware that's how he comes in box. If you can actually manage to find him now, is that this is all compacted. So then we can bend our wings back, and yeah, I think that was just a scuff out of the box because that's not even making any contact. All right, so make sure our arms are where they're supposed to be. We can flip down these panels, same flippy pieces here, all the way up and close that. Same on the other side. Flip that out and bring that up. And straighten his arm out, and there is Armada Starscream back in his robot mode with wiggly arms and everything. So, like I said, he does look good. The biggest issues I've got is I'm worried about those arm sliders, the limitations of his head when it comes to his proper Armada appearance, and it's just a bit weird trying to plug those legs in. But it is what it is. So let's get down to size comparisons. Here he is with MP10. I wasn't going to do this, but I thought, you know what, why not for a laugh? There he is with Make Toys Meteor, the cartoon version of G1 Starscream. I would do my G1 reissue, but I have all the parts put away and don't feel like digging them out. And after I get him focused again, last but not least, at least for now, here he is with Armada Megatron. And honestly, they look great together. Yes, as I said in his review, there is elements of Megatron that have disappeared due to him not being a traditional Armada toy. And of course, Wheeljack, try that again. Starscream is exactly the same. So there is certain aspects of the original toy that unfortunately have been lost when they made him into a legacy figure. But it is what it is. But at least we got some Armada figures. Honestly, I always expect G1. That's to be expected. I expect the odd Beast Wars, maybe some new characters, but the fact that we got Armada at all just blows my mind a little bit. As I've said more than times than I can count, I am only getting an Armada base lineup now. So Optimus, Hotshot, Starscream, Megatron, Cyclonus, Red Alert. I've found somebody to get Red Alert, but I just got to wait and see. And of course, Demolisher. I'm not getting Wheeljack. I'm not getting Red Alerts and all the rest of those. I might get a Tidal Wave if it's still there for the price that I saw it for. But that is that. So there we go. So there is my Armada Decepticons, all nice and started. So we will just wait for the rest of them to follow, which, like I said, I know we've got Red Alert in the latest toy line. I I don't know when we'll get Demolish or Cyclonus. So maybe soon. Maybe they'll come out later in Age of the Primes. Don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. So there we go. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give me a thumbs down. I promise you it will not hurt my feelings. Subscribe, ring that bell, leave me a comment. And apart from that, thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.